My name is Brigette. I'm the new PT that just started at Tandem Physical Therapy, and I'd like to take you through a brief tutorial about safety techniques during deadlifting. Deadlifting is a really wonderful exercise because it is one of the absolute best exercises for your back muscles, your butt muscles, which in turn is going to help you lift around the home and community. It's going to help you stand longer. It's going to help you walk longer. So it's one of the best exercises to do. But for a lot of folks especially who experience deadlifting in the past, oftentimes it's very easy to hurt your back. So with these 3 tips that I'm going to share, I'm hoping that you can try deadlifting just even around your home. Maybe it's something you could try at the gym. So first off, I'm going to show you the exercise and what it'll look like, and then we'll break it down into the 3 tips. So with the deadlift, this is just a basic deadlift. You're going to take the weight. Oftentimes it's a barbell in front of you. Sometimes you'll have a kettlebell. We're using a dumbbell for this video. And you're going to bring the weight up and then back down. There are a lot of different variations of deadlifts. This is the main one. So 3 main techniques with this. The most important technique during a deadlift is the appropriate use of an abdominal brace. Sometimes you may see people when they're at the gym, they're wearing those heavy weightlifting belts, and that is so it can help encourage the trunk to further activate, which will help stabilize the trunk, which can help generate force through the legs. So to really work through the abdominal brace, when I'm working through this with my patients, what I like to do is I'll have them lay down on the table, the floor, and I'll have them put their hands underneath their back, and then you flatten your hands into your back. When you do that, you'll feel your tummy muscles right here activate, you'll feel your pelvis roll slightly backwards, and your back will come into what's considered a neutral spine, and you'll hold this position. From there, I encourage people to practice holding this and breathe. So again, you can hold this position and then relax. There's a couple different ways you can practice this. You can practice just coming in and out of it, where you're focusing on as if you have something underneath your back and you're flattening, you're relaxing, you're flattening, relaxing. You can do it by incorporating the breath work into it. You're holding that position, that abdominal brace, and then you're inhaling. And you can also bring in movement with the legs to it. I would recommend doing that technique for about 2 or 3 minutes prior to your deadlifting exercise. The second important part of the deadlift is the hip hinge. Oftentimes when you see people at the gym or just lifting overall in the community, you'll see them lift with this rounded posture. For a long time in literature and in science, we always thought that this was bad for the back. It's not necessarily bad for the back to lift in this posture. It's just not ideal, especially when you're doing it a lot throughout your life. A better posture for the back is having that neutral spine, bracing like what we talked about on the table, and then doing the hip hinge. This is the hip hinge motion right here. By doing this hip hinge motion, it lets you keep your back nice and neutral, and it lets you continue to use that brace. So the hip hinge pattern can sometimes be a little bit hard to do and to practice. So what I tell my patients is the best cue in the world, imagine that you're doing a karate chop to your underwear line, and you just bring the buttocks back, and then you come back and forth. Another cue I'll hear people say is pretend you're sitting down in a chair, so you're bringing your butt back. And just practice with it, because oftentimes we lose the ability to hip hinge, and just that motor pattern takes time to develop. Don't be frustrated if you're wondering, like, am I doing this correctly? Just keep practicing. So building up the steps, we have our nice lovely brace where we're imagining that we're flattening our hand into the table to bring ourselves into a neutral spine, and then we're going to hip hinge. The final piece of the puzzle when we're lifting, we have the weight here, we're ready to go, you're looking up, is exhaling as you come up. So inhale and exhale. So again, what that looks like, you've got your brace, you hip hinge back, inhale, and exhale. By exhaling as you come up, it helps activate your tummy muscles, which again is going to help stabilize the spine, and it's going to help you really recruit the leg muscles by stabilizing your spine. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. More advanced weightlifters will practice different weightlifting techniques, but that's when you're going for 1 rep maxes where you're lifting 200, 300, 400 pounds, which is not necessarily the most useful technique for folks who they just want to practice so that they can lift groceries, something along those lines. So a couple of different breath techniques that you can try is you can, so if we're bringing the weight up this way, you can exhale on the way down and the way up. So that requires some control. So what it looks like, exhale, exhale. Sometimes when my patients practice that, they get a little bit dizzy because it's just a lot of breath work that we're not used to. What I encourage you to do, we're trialing this at home, start with a light weight, as long as you don't have any back pain or any hip pain, about 5 or 6 pounds, and you can practice going up and down with that technique. At Tandem Physical Therapy, one of the things that we focus on is safe weightlifting techniques so you can get back into living your life. So if you have any questions, concerns about this video, please feel free to leave a question or a comment saying, hey, what does this mean? And our lovely Selena will be able to answer you, and she'll be able to get back to you, and we can also schedule a discovery visit where you feel free to ask us questions of like, what does this mean? Can I do this safely? Is this for me? Because deadlifting is for everybody, because you lift things all day long. So if you'd like to know more about safe lifting techniques, feel free to give us a call.